Okay, tell me what happened.
Yeah. Okay. It was 2013. 2013. These people of CDC. If you've heard of them, the CDC people, they came to the school, and they were requesting for the head teacher. That was in I was still in a primary school. They were requesting for the head teacher if they could take some students, some pupils, for male genital mutilation, for the circumcision. So they just came without informing our parents. So they were just using the teachers. So when they came and requested for this, they bribed the teachers such that the teachers could just allow them with an ease without giving us time to go and consult the parents. Yeah, so they gave teachers some of the forms to be signed, and teachers did this on behalf of our parents. And a moment later, the bus came, and we were around 37 pupils, and we were taken for circumcision. That was in a certain hospital here around. So when we went there, it was like some students from certain from certain colleges came for the training. So when they came for the training, and it was by bad luck, that some of our penis, most of mine, was used by the trainee, such that he can know how to operate. So operation, this trainee, I call him a trainee because by then he didn't know anything. He came to learn, and it was by bad luck that I found myself given that person who did not do anything. So the person came and just I think he took a certain fluidical medicine and used a soft cotton and wiped the rubber. Only that. Then I saw some, as I had seen earlier. I was seeing that some of my colleagues were being injected, and me, this guy, didn't injected me. And I was requesting, why are you doing this to me and some are being injected? I don't know. Is it right, whatever you are doing? No, he said that he's the doctor and I should not be questioning. And I was still young, and I knew that anything could happen to me for me questioning. So I just kept quiet and wait whatever this trainee wanted to do. So he pulled the sheath, the foreskin. When he pulled it and just cut it, by bad luck, he pulled and he didn't allow the foreskin to separate itself with the rubber. This person just a certain inch, just pull a certain inch, and then just cut without observing if the skin and the rubber were not in contact. So the guy just cut the rubber plus the foreskin. I really screamed, and my screaming affected him and really confused him. The guy jumped away. Why are you screaming? And he wanted to slap me, and yet he's the one who have caused me, who have cut me wrongly. So when the real doctor came, found me bleeding profusely, So when he came and see whatever the trainee has done, he took me for special treatment to another room again. So I stayed there. After all this, he cut me and never apologizing, whatever. This doctor took me to another room for special treatment. I took there around 3 days, still receiving being given a special treatment, and the other pupils were taken home. With them, some were not also well cut, and also they had one or two challenges, but mine was so serious. But with them, they were just taken, and they were promised that they will be sent doctors to seek them treatment at home. So with me, I took there 3 days, just being given special treatment. And when my parents was now concerned, because these things that they did knew that I went to for circumcision. When they went to the school and requested, the head teacher told them that I had complications in my penis, and yet these are my parents that all along they have been with me, and these things they've never seen any difficulty with my penis. Then the doctor, the head teacher arrested this, and they were not satisfied with the head teacher's whatever head teacher was saying. So the head teacher had to convince them, and until they were convinced, just know their past, how teachers were being given that special respects. Whatever they say is final. So when that happened, my parents were now concerned, and they came to the hospital where I was taken to. It was bad, but it was bad that when they came, by that time they didn't find me. They were going, and me I was being given discharge, and we didn't see each other there. So they went there, requested for me. I was nowhere. So I had already taken back. To at home. They came back and found me in the evening. I was my penis, I could not believe it. It was swelling, the rubber plus that penis as a whole. It was something like, I don't know. It was really it swells. So these people took a bandage and wrapped it. I couldn't even urinate. If I could urinate, I could urinate a drop of urine. I suffered for this for around 3 months. I was taken home, and those people promised that they will be coming and checking me. When I went home, their promise went like that. They didn't came. Even the teachers there didn't came at our home and see how I was progressing. So it was just my parents and me. So being that I was coming from a family that was not that able, so the best medication that they could be giving me, they were just it was just a warm water and a salt, and they were to use for rinsing and cleaning that area. I suffered for around 6 months, and it's when my family members sat down, because they were unable. They sat down and said, no, this child is really suffering, and he needs a special treatment. Can we call some MCAs, some members of parliament, MPs, to give us a support? They requested for support for my treatment, and nobody, they could not be given. So they just took me again back to a certain national hospital in Nairobi for further treatment. So when I went there, the doctor said that it's too late, because now my penis was It was producing some pus. It was smelling, and he said that before we give you any treatment, we want to assure you that we have to take a screening for the internal organ, because we don't know. We can just see the outer structure, but we don't know whatever is happening inside. So when they took screening, and I was given a photo, the internal organ were already damaged with the viruses that were caused by the pus that were coming out of the penis. They say that the doctor said that it was too late. I just shed tears, because I just knew that my life, because this is the real thing that shows that you're a man. Penis is all about you being a man. I just shed tears and say it's over with me, because now if the doctor himself is saying that it's too late for me, and this is where our expectation was to come from. Now everything is in null. So they promised to give me a treatment, but told us that we are just going to try the much that we can, but we are promising that we cannot give the best, because there is no replacement for the internal organs. Yeah, we cannot take from a kid and then we put in you. It can't work.
Which internal organs?
The structure of the
urine?
No, the internal reproductive system of the penis. Mm-hmm. The sperm duct, sperm gland, the urethra, the whatever. All those were already damaged. So producing sperms, whatever, could not be. So they tried. The doctor tried by themselves. I can remember my parents took me there without even a cent. They were just saying that let's take this child there, such that when those people will be requesting for the bill, is when they will raise an alarm, such that the well wishers could raise, and they took there to the hospital for my bill. So when the doctor gave me the best that they could do, and I stayed there for again 6 months again. Just for that, and then for that 6 months I could now urinate, but the doctor was somehow being close to me, and he could always advise me that in case you will find yourself even in the next 1 year, 2 years, that you are not reproductive, don't complain and don't see that your life will end there. No, you can still go ahead and work, but now don't feel this as a neglect. Don't separate yourself with the people, such that this thing normally affects people psychologically. You don't do anything opposite, because I think even your colleagues, where they're outside there, they will always mock at you, and don't pay attention to their mocking. So I could urinate now, but with not an ease. I took there six months, as I've said, and the doctor gave me the discharge. When I came back home, I could now urinate. A year later, that my rubber was now forming. It was now forming because it was a cut that just go deep, and that rubber was somehow it was about to separate itself. Now it was
when
now.
You say rubber, you mean the glands?
The glands.
The tip of the penis.
Yeah, I say that. I mean that. Now it was now forming, and but by the time it was forming, it left a gap between it. Now it could not join each other. The sides could not join. It's like you are taking this hand and this hand and joining together. They could not join itself. So there was a growth that came in between them, and this growth is the thing that at least I can say joined the both sides of the tip of the penis. So when I went back home a year later, I started complaining because I could not even go for the wet dream, and I was asking myself, why am I not? But this is a stage that I should be experiencing some physical changes. When I request, when I
At
raised,
what age were you when this incident happened, and at what age were you when you came home from the hospital?
yeah, incident happened when was it 12, 11 years? Yeah, 11 years. It was 11, 12 there. That was 2013, yeah. So when the,
And then when you said I cannot even have wet dreams, what age was that?
yeah, that was around now 15, 16. You know, men earlier. So that's around 16 there, 15. Yeah. So because my age mates were, in the morning you could hear them saying that to, today I saw things, because even with them they didn't know whatever they were experiencing. They were just saying that they woken up and found themselves wet. So me also, I was expecting myself to find myself in that situation, because we were just age mates. So when I was not able to see this, I told mom, because dad is not there. I told mom that, mom, this whatever is happening. And mom also was somehow close to me than any other person in the family. And when I told mom, and mom said that, let me consult a doctor. When the doctor was consulted, the doctor said, I told you earlier that in case of anything, the incident that happened is the reason for you not experiencing the physical changes that you are expecting to see. So this really affected me. If I can't lie, I dropped out of school, because I knew that this thing, everybody in the school knew it that I'm not a man now. Yeah, I'm not a man, and I went I went at Nairobi. I was once a street boy, just because of this. It really affected me. It made me to run away from my family. I didn't even care how much mom loves me, and how much close he was with me. I didn't care that. Me, I was just concerned about my future. How will my future be? And in this world, people are like, if you die without a kid, you are nothing, because nobody will remember you. Yeah. So this thing really affected me, and I once even went to be a fisherman there at the one of the highlands there at Mageta Island. All this I did just because of whatever I was done there at the hospital. This thing really affected me psychologically, and even I dropped out of school. So I found a man who took me to school after some years, and I sat for my KCSE. That's 2019. Yeah, sat for my KCSE. After all this,
You
I sat.
sat for your cases. What does it mean?
I sat for my KCSE for Form 4.
For the examination.
Yeah, I sat for it in 2019. After this man took me to a private school it was an orphanage school. So I was taken there as an orphan. So, but I didn't want this person to disclose the information of me. So he just took me there as an orphan, because, but yet I was not orphan. I was a single orphan. But now, me too, I wanted, even this incident happened to me, I wanted me to at least get knowledge of school. Because nowadays in life, if you don't have that knowledge of school, you are nothing. So when it was nothing with my manhood is not there, so I'm totally nothing. So I requested this guy to take me to school, and then this guy took me to school, and I sat for my KCSE 2019. After all this, then since there, I've just been moving here and there, because I don't want to go back at home, because that neglection, because even my friends, colleagues, whatever, mocking at me. Even when I found them standing with the girlfriends, whatever, I can't nothing. They just say that you are nothing. You're just a trouser without. You wear trouser that you are barking dog without teeth. So all these just make me, I don't think I'm somebody on earth. So I've been just praying that even one day, if I can get a person who can really console me and mentor me and be someone in future, I can really appreciate, because me with a girl with whatever, I cannot, because I'm unproductive because of whatever was done for. So when this thing happened to me, my parents, my uncle wanted to my uncle wanted to go to the specific hospital that I was circumcised for them to cater for my everything. When they went there, since I don't know, this circumcision was not supported by the government. The government doesn't know it. So they just say that we can't do nothing. We can do nothing.
But it was some organization.
Yeah, it was just an organization. It was a CDC, the CDC.
I know CDC.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, let me